So traditional slacklining and traditional slackliners usually just walk on the line. But when we started playing on it, we wanted to develop more of a full yoga practice so we could really explore our potential for balance in lots of different ways. So the first way we started working and the way that we start teaching is kneeling. And this way is nice because it keeps the practitioner close to the ground. They have their hands out in front of them in case they fall, so they can just put their fingers on the ground. And this overcomes a lot of the fear of standing on a crazy rope strung between two trees. So once you get that, you can start to work with more fancy vinyasa, movements between postures. So you can go in and out of one knee to the other. You can come into a yoga pose kind of like child's pose, where you put both knees on the line and come down. So these are just nice ways to really start to get into that core balance in the body. And then from there, you can actually learn to come all the way to the second type we work on, which is standing. So it can be fairly difficult, but we'll see if Chelsea can do it right now. Nice. So the second type of movement on the line is the traditional, which is walking, learning to stand on it and then to walk back and forth. And once you've learned walking, you can pretty much do any standing yoga pose that you can imagine on the line. The first one, the basic yoga pose that we teach that doesn't take too long to learn, is Warrior One or Crescent Lunge. And this teaches you a lot of stability in the hips. And then you can also learn stuff turning to the side, like chair pose. Whoop. And turning to the side takes a ton of balance because you can't balance with your arms side to side. Nice. So try one more. Yeah, exactly. And you're allowed to fall. You're totally allowed to fall in slacklining. If you didn't, nobody would do it. So really tough. So you can try Warrior Two. Go. Yeah, take your time. So Warrior Two is quite difficult because when you put everything in line with the slack line. So Warrior One gives your arms out, really reach up, really reach up. Nice, there you go. Nice. And the third form of being on the line that we work with is coming down to sitting. Can you stand and sit? So normally when you start, you don't worry about actually staying on the line while you transition, but as you get more practiced, it's nice, just like you would in a yoga class, work on linking the poses. Ooh, nice. Focus. Focus. You always complain when I'm always on camera. Now's your chance. So as you get more practice, it's nice to really work trying to find transitions so you don't have to come off the line. So sitting on the line can be one of the most challenging or one of the easiest forms of slacklining. It takes so much concentration, and you really don't have very much to balance with because your energy is so low. So you have to stay really calm. It's almost like an amazing fast track to really intense meditation. Because if you're not in that space of calmness in your mind, it's really difficult to stay on the line. And lotus pose or Padmasana is one of those that most people struggle with on the ground. And being able to get into it on the line is a really, really intense and beautiful place to be able to come and sit with that much calmness. And for those of you that might be thinking it looks really uncomfortable, the line is not a thong. This is a very important point to remember. It's slightly off on one side of the sit bone or the tailbone or the other. And then the last type of balancing we do on the line for beginners is the basic arm balance. So we'll let Chelsea slowly come out, and you can just turn to the side. So this builds core strength really, really, really fast. So just hovering, tucking up into the belly and balancing on your arms. Sometimes you can even tuck it through. There's all variations of arm balances you can work on. And you can actually take that through all the way to the knees. Lots of different ways to work. You got to keep it tucked in the arms, otherwise. And show the inversion too. You got to do it right there. And so the type that we've kind of more recently invented, because in the yoga practice, going upside down is a huge part of it. So when we were practicing a lot in Holland, some Dutch acrobats helped us come up with a way to get upside down on the line. And you can work all sorts of crazy handstand prep, or you can take it over into a back bend. So this is one of the more advanced vinyasas that we work with on the line. Oh. Remember to lift your heart. And then you can sit all the way up. Can you stand up in reverse? Yeah. Nice. So that's a little bit of the basics. And we try to practice all 5 of those modes, even from the very beginning. Even if you're struggling, there's lots of ways you can have people assist you or spot you. But it's good to start to build all of that in the body, and then everything becomes easier. And one thing you'll notice is when Chelsea stops breathing, she falls off the line. When she forgets that there's a camera on her, she's fine. But you can see it once you learn to look for it. If the person's not breathing or not calm, it's really hard to stay there. Because the most interesting thing for me recently discovering about slacklining is there's 2 energies that you're playing with. The line itself, because it's dynamic and has a little tension, has some energy. But most of the energy is coming from the participant's body. So when you have this crazy wobble, that's just finding instability in your own body and having to deal with it through your breath, through your musculature. So you're basically learning to be calm, even when the rest of the world isn't, which is a really powerful tool to have. So aside from the great physical benefits, the rock hard abs and the nice butt that you get slacklining, you really start to get a calm mindset in the midst of everything wobbling around you. Can you do Vashisthasana?